Hi, welcome back. I know it's been a while. I apologize for the sound echoing, but I went to use my microphone and the battery was dead because it's been so long since I made my last video. But anyway, today I'm going to show you how to make a homemade pie crust. And it's so easy. And I know some of you might be saying, well, I can just run to the grocery store and go get a pre-made one in the refrigerated section. But if you're ever in a bind, like let's say around the holidays, and you go to the grocery store and they're sold out, you can make this with just a few simple ingredients that you probably already have in your house. And it just takes flour, butter, vegetable oil, water, and then if you're going to make a savory pie crust, it'll take salt and onion powder. And if you're going to make a sweet pie crust for dessert, then you would add sugar. And to start off with, you're going to use 2 cups of flour, and it's all-purpose flour. I always measure into the cup because if you scoop directly into the flour, you're going to press it down into your measuring cup, and that's going to skew the proportions, and it's not going to make your pie crust turn out right. And I just use the back end of a knife. It's usually the straightest surface that I have to scrape off the excess. And you're going to get 2 cups of flour. And I measured into a separate bowl or over the flour just to catch the excess. But today I'm using another one because it's awkward over there. And then you just set that aside. And now for the savory crust, I'm going to add some salt. And you add a half teaspoon of salt. Whoa, got a little crazy there. There's 1. And then a whole teaspoon of garlic. My thing won't fit down in there. I'm sorry, this is onion powder, not garlic powder. There's half teaspoon. I know I just said you don't use the measuring spoon, but it doesn't count in powders. And salt. But for flour, sugar, all that other stuff it does. And then you just take a fork and you stir it around. Okay, once you have that thoroughly mixed around, then you're going to get the wet ingredients ready. And what you're going to use is a stick of butter. This is going to be a ½ cup melted butter. And I use a glass measuring cup to melt it in because it just makes everything easier after you've melted it, so you can add the other wet ingredients to it. Because you're going to end up with 1 cup of whole wet ingredients. So we're going to start off with a whole stick of butter and melt it in the microwave. And I usually cut it up just because it melts faster. And then I cover it with a paper towel because butter always splashes when it melts in the microwave. Okay, there you have your melted butter. Kind of swirl it around, make sure it's all melted. And I don't know if you can see, but it's right there, ½ cup. Then to measure out some more, you're gonna add a ¼ cup of vegetable oil. Here's my gigantic jug, which I use all the time. You're going to just add the oil till it comes to the 3/4 mark. Then you're going to add cold water, a ¼ cup of cold water. So all your ingredients of the wet come together to make 1 cup. And then you just pour it into your dry ingredients. And you just stir it around with a fork. You're going to notice it's starting to come together into a pie dough. And I just do the rest with my hands. Just start squishing it together. And it's going to feel real greasy to you, but that's what it should be. Whoa, getting carried away. Whoops. Well, They say you're not really baking or cooking unless you make a mess, right? All right. There's your dough ball, and what you're gonna do is, this will make 2 pie crusts. So you just cut the dough in half and make 2 little balls so that you can roll it out to make 1 pie crust and then the other one out. I just kind of make it into like a semi patty. That just makes it roll out a little more even into a pie pan shape. Or some people would say round. Okay, now I'm going to show you a trick that I do so that I don't make my countertop all messy with flour. Okay, cleaned off the surface, and this is the trick. You take plastic wrap, and I take 2 sheets and I just lay it on my counter. I kind of overlap them. All right, then you take your piece of pie crust dough, slap it on there. Then you take another sheet of the cling wrap that wants to stick to itself and make this difficult. Good gravy. Oh, start over. Make me crazy. And then you lay it over and this way you don't have to cover it with flour. Now, you take your rolling pin and you just start rolling your dough out. Roll it out real thin until it is big enough to cover your pie pan. Oops, came out from the outside of that plastic. All right, then you take your pie plate. Yep, that's going to cover it. So you peel off the top layer. And you're going to lay your pie pan over the center. You're going to have a lot of overlapping pieces. Then you stick your hand up underneath. Go like that. Peel the plastic wrap off the bottom. Oops. And voila! You have a pie crust in your pie pan. And then I just kind of lift it and push it down so that it's all the way covering. Kind of tore there. And where it tears, if it's too thin, you can take pieces off the side and just kind of put it on there like that. And then I just take a butter knife and I go around and I cut off the excess. You just push up against there and you just take your knife and go around like that. And there you have it. And if you want to make it pretty, you can take a fork and just push down on the sides like that. And if you're doing a double crust, once you put the top layer on, then you would press down with the fork like this. And then you don't have to poke holes or anything. I know some people stab it with a fork to make little holes in it, but you don't need to do that. I've done this many years and you don't need to do that. Okay, there you have it. And then your pie crust is ready to use. Now I'm going to cut this video off because in the next video I'm going to fill it with fillings to make a quiche.